Good evening and welcome everyone. We're delighted to welcome you to our 4-part Wellbeing program, which will be every Wednesday evening for the next 4 weeks. This is the launch of the program, and we are truly honored and privileged to have with us a dear friend and somebody who is highly respected in her field, and that is Fiona Trup. Good evening, Fiona.
Good evening to you and Gila and the community.
Lovely to see you. A bit of background about Fiona for those that don't know her, although she's quite well known, and that is Fiona has a very successful aesthetic skin clinic in Totteridge. She's been a skin specialist for the last 26 years. She is a BANT qualified nutritional therapist specializing in anti-aging, polycystic ovary syndrome, and acne, writing numerous articles on these subjects, and she is constantly striving to update and to keep up to date, both for herself and for her clients, with developments and nutritional research as it comes out. She's written many articles which have been well received, and we are truly honored and delighted to be able to welcome her and to tap into her wealth of wisdom and share it with the community. Good evening, Fiona. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. Nice to see you all. Well, not see you all, but I hope you're all comfortable indoors nowadays.
There was no traffic. We didn't have to find parking. So there's some positive things. Fiona, it's a funny question because I know you for such a long time, but I'm going to ask you about your background. I don't think we've ever chatted about that. And how did you come to the skincare? A skin specialist. What does it mean for you?
I first came into, from a very young age, I knew that I was interested in, I suppose, beauty or, just generally looking after yourself. And so I knew that that when I sort of left school that I was going to do something with skin. Skin was actually a passion of mine. And I then went on to study it and have never stopped studying. I started off with a clinic straight off, and I've never really looked back. And it's such a wide, it's such a wide study. The skin is fascinating because obviously many of you don't realize, but actually, or you may realize, but the skin is the largest organ in the body.
Interesting.
Yeah. We don't think of it as an organ. It is interesting. So yeah. The next question is actually interesting for me as I'm noticing little differences in my skin, especially around my eyes and maybe on different places on my face.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how would you describe like the skin and its defense mechanism? Like, what can we do? It's all about how do we keep it in the best format?
Okay, well, if you imagine the skin is a bit like a house, and you've got your roof and you've got the main sort of building. So it's a bit like the bricks and mortar. So the bricks are actually the roof. And also, if you have in the roof like a crack, which is what we call our natural sort of the top surface of the skin, the epidermis, if it's actually in any way defective, maybe it's been over moisturized or over using products that aren't good for your skin, you can make the natural skin barrier impaired. And that's when you start getting issues.
What do you mean with issues? What type of issues?
You can get things like eczema. You can get acne, for instance. You can get, many different skin ailments, connected to sort of like the natural barrier. But also, if you use stringent products, then, you're going to affect the skin's natural pH barrier.
Right.
So the pH is, you're either acidic or you're either alkaline, and you're trying to really ideally get your skin to about 5.7.
Right.
Naturally, the skin is normally acidic.
Right.
But it was interesting. I was reading the other day that a baby's pH is actually 7. And I could never quite understand why baby lotion was actually the pH of 7. So it makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So just kind of, I'm listening to you, and a few of our children suffer from eczema.
Yeah.
So you're speaking about the barrier, maybe overuse or underuse. I always wonder, can there be a psychological element like stress or anything internally going on in the body, emotionally?
Yeah, there's I'm doing a lot of study on eczema at the moment, and there's many different factors why you could actually, get eczema, and it could actually be, from genetics. You might find that a parent might have had bad eczema, but it also could be. It depends whether it's actually a localized eczema.
Right.
Or whether it's sort of like, at birth where you actually have it really severely. And that's much more medical. But I think if you've actually got a localized eczema, it could even be to do with a food intolerance or certain chemicals in fruit and vegetables that are now sprayed by crops.
Right.
So it would be, sometimes what I'm doing with a patient at the moment is that we're having to go through a special list of all the different foods, and by eliminating making diaries, but also looking at topical creams. It's really important to try and get the right cream and not block the skin so it can't breathe, etc.
So you're speaking more about environmental factors rather than emotional or more internal.
Emotion, you're absolutely right, Gila. You'll know this, that childhood type trauma, not saying anything, but it could be some kind of, something that you're holding within yourself. Yeah. There's a lot of research to now say that, that if the parent, I don't know if there's divorce in the family, a bereavement, it can actually come out, in a form of eczema. So sure, absolutely. That's something that, hairdressers can sometimes get localized eczema, and that's different from the eczema that, some you might get when you're actually as an older adult.
Right.
And if you have counselling, this sometimes can actually clear up the issue.
That's interesting. And Joe Diamond is just asking, I have upper lip eczema. What can treat it? And does toothpaste frustrate and irritated?
With atopic eczema?
With upper lip eczema.
Oh, upper lip eczema.
Upper lip. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you've got upper lip eczema, it depends whether it's an embarrassing question, whether she actually has had lip waxing. That's something that, there needs to be questions asked for that.
Right. So she should book an appointment with you.
Yeah, I mean, inboxing.
We're not going to go through that now. So also, anyone that has any questions, if they want to put them in the comments, then as we did with Joe, we're happy to take the questions. But I want to move on a bit. I think when I was thinking back, and we've known each other a while, Fiona, and you've seen me, and you worked wonders. But when I was thinking back to when you first become aware and conscious of your skin and your appearance, I think certainly as a boy and, also as a girl, it's really when you go through puberty and you start to struggle with acne. I think that was the first time, for boys in particular, you don't even think about it. You don't spend hours looking at yourself. You just get on with it. And all of a sudden, you become very self-conscious about, the way you look and the way other people are looking at you. So I was wondering about how can, for teenagers, it can be a real blight on, what should be the happiest years of their lives. What can they do to get rid of acne?
Well, it's a big question. When you're talking about acne, especially as a teenager, you're quite right. So if you get one pimple, two pimples, well, we can, we always sort of think to ourselves, that's the normal, it's normal, it's growing up. It's when you actually when they turn into cysts and they look a bit red and aggressive and they're starting to spread, that you then start to think this is not a rite of passage. Acne is actually a disease that you really need to search and get help for, whether it be by like somebody myself or you actually go to the doctor. But you definitely need to actually, talk to your child about it, because obviously it can have implications at school, that they go to school and they're teased, they come back and then they're putting all sorts of things on their skin, which clearly might not be safe. So you really do. It's a number one is actually speaking to your child, and are you happy to go and get some help, and so that we can actually sort this out. Right. And it can be sorted out. It can be controlled.
Okay, it can be controlled. So one of the I think one of the things that's developed and changed over the years, I think, is the fact that every teenager and every kid has access to a computer. So all of a sudden, everyone's become their own little experts, and they may not ask the questions to the parents. They just decide that they're going to treat themselves. Do any of the over-counter treatments actually work? Are you confident in any of them?
And can I throw in here, what about toothpaste in the same question?
You can throw in toothpaste again. We've had toothpaste,
What was that, Gila? What was it?
Toothpaste. Is that an old wives' tale, or does it really have healing factors?
What's that?
Toothpaste.
Toothpaste.
Oh, I was going to mention toothpaste, but I just thought, I don't know. Try if you tried it. I mean, I don't know whether there's any. Obviously, there's some kind of. I don't know. There must be something in it that I think I most often get kids putting pseudocreme, because it actually hides the evidence as well, and I think it does. It's good. The question is, over-the-counter remedies, do they work? It depends. It really depends. Some of them are quite aggressive. Some of the benzoyl peroxides can really dismantle and dry out the skin. And particularly in this weather, you can actually really, we were talking about pH before, and can it really upset the pH, balance the skin? So I think that you need to, if you go to the chemist will advise you. But I would start with maybe a small area first and just test it out. But a lot of them can actually disrupt, dry it out, but then drying it out can then cause more sebum, because sebum is actually the problem that is causing the acne.
Right.
Yeah.
So so for those that haven't had the pleasure of coming to see Fiona or somebody like Fiona, one of the things that surprised me is I went in and I thought I was going like over the counter, and therefore you would just, give me a cream and that would be it. And one of the things I think that's most surprising when you have any type of skin condition is you see a specialist, and immediately, instead of giving you a cream, an instant solution, they ask you about your diet. How important and influential is diet in the case of acne and in the case of skin in general?
Oh, it's so important, because, I always view, this is why I became a nutritionist, is because it was so important to, just treating the surface, because your skin is actually, when I look at somebody, is actually my diagnostic tool, because it's so important when you sort of speak to somebody and find out what their diet is like, and whether they're having too much sugar. Dairy is not a great thing to have when you've got acne in particular, because it is actually said there's a protein that's actually causes an inflammatory cascade. It's better just to ease off the dairy with something particularly like acne. And it's also to have, particularly in this weather, Rabbi, and Gila, is to have antioxidants. Okay, do you know what antioxidants? Do you know what antioxidants
No,
are?
now what are they?
Okay, so an antioxidant is a good guy. Okay, so what it does is it actually it slows damage to the cells, and it also repairs. You get something called a free radical damage. It's going a little bit deep here, but they're the bad guys, and they cause illness. So antioxidants, having things in your diet such as fruits and vegetables and cruciferous vegetables, the leafy green vegetables, all go to help and put all those antioxidants into your body. Like, you think about colors of the rainbow, and that's really what you should be doing to providing, giving your body those kind of colors. So if you think of something, let's say like blueberries, they've got that dark, lovely color. Then you've got the bright butternut squash and the sweet potatoes, the orange color, which is the beta carotene, which is the vitamin A, which you need for skin defense. Yeah. So and also you have so let's think of some other vitamin C, which is important as well. It's an antioxidant, and it's there to, you were saying, Gila, about the wrinkles. So you should be having vitamin C because it helps the collagen and elastin, and it also helps to recycle the vitamin E.
Okay.
So it's very important to have. And then obviously we know about your sugar addiction, Rabbi, or do we?
Sorry, what was that word?
Your sugar addiction.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, okay. So it's probably quite a good idea to cut down sugar. And we've all heard all about, sugar is the bad guy. And and there's many different options now you can have instead of having sugar. I mean, even maple syrup is better than having
sugar.
What about sweeteners? Where does sweeteners? Sweeteners is like sugar?
Don't mention sweetness.
If aspartame, yes. So you've got things like aspartame, but you've got, lots of, other options on the shelf. You just need to find the I've actually forgotten the someone's going to write it on the thing.
It's with an X,
there's Truvia. There's basically Truvia, and there's lots of different things that you can have as alternatives. But it's kind of nice to go for natural options as well. I mean, agave syrup is quite important. Yeah.
Okay.
So, we're spending so much time indoors now. The COVID and the winter months. Can you give us kind of a menu for our skin? What can we do to make sure we come out on the other end and the best way possible, kind of, when we come to the summer months?
Sorry, Gila, my connection was not very good there. Can you just repeat the question?
Sure. So, we're spending so much time indoors now, both because of COVID and because of the winter months. And I'm wondering the impact that will have on our skins, and what would you suggest we can do to protect the skin, because we're not getting any sun.
Okay, I'm hoping that you can hear me. Can you hear me? You can, because my connection's not good. Obviously, being indoors, we've got central heating, and which really dries out the water level. Okay, so, and also you've also got to think about vitamin D. Because we're indoors, and it's so important, as the research says that COVID, having vitamin D helps, with the virus and prevention. There are, just as a quickie, I would say that omega-3 fish oils. So if you're having fish oils and you include those into your diet, as well as having nuts and seeds, if you're obviously not allergic. So you're getting that defense, because the skin is made up of water and oil. So you've got to provide just as much as the oil as you can, with regard, obviously drinking is important, and drinking obviously nourishes all your, your organs.
So you say lots of hydration, Lots of natural nuts, seeds,
Yeah.
fruits, leafy vegetables.
Yeah, even adding chia seeds. They're the little seeds you can buy from the shops into your water. That's very good for maintaining hydration as well.
Right.
The new buzzword is actually hyaluronic acid. And hyaluronic acid is actually really, when you put it on the skin, provides more water within the skin as well.
Right.
And also making sure that you have got the right face cream as well. Because obviously you don't want to have the bad guys are the emollients, the surfactants, the humectants. They can actually hold in and block the pores, and you still want to allow the skin to be able to breathe.
So what are the good moisturizers?
And I also on the moisturizers. Also, do you have to spend a lot of money on them?
No, absolutely not. You know, it's look, toners. You can just buy a rose water. A rose water from, you know, one of the, you know, it's so lovely to tone the skin. And you can even put it into one of the spray bottles and spray your face. That's another thing that you can do. As far as the moisturizer is concerned, I mean, I do a lovely moisturizer. I make my own moisturizers. So, you know, just making sure that that moisture doesn't have that moisturizer. I mean, I'm not going to do any kind of advertising here. But that it doesn't block the pores and that it's not too heavy for your skin. Remember, you've got to look at each and every person's skin, you know. So, but actually at this time of year, just even having like a rosehip oil is lovely, even to wear at night. And the hyaluronic acid to wear in the day, you know, just as a nourisher. Yeah.
So you don't need to go for the most expensive, everything that's being advertised right now and all the serums.
Not at all. No. There's so many different buzzwords out there, and I could talk forever about retinols and, you know, things. But remember, the most important thing, if you are going out for your daily walk, is to wear your sun factor, because that, you know, is going to protect you from the skin aging.
Right. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on a bit. So is healthy skin, you see everyone, you know, has different, as you already mentioned, has different skin. Is healthy skin something that a person is born with, or something that they can develop depending on how much care and what they eat?
Oh, it's an interesting question, actually. You know, I think that at the moment, I've got two sisters I'm treating. One has got really dry skin and one's got really oily skin. Intrinsically, that means that they just have dry skin. Can you actually change their skin? You will never stop her skin being dry. So but you can actually help it by giving her, you know, as we were talking before about making sure that her nutrition it's very important to make sure that her health, you know, what she's nutritionally taking in is important, and obviously making sure that she's hydrating her skin as well. The other sister who's got very oily skin, again, it's you know, you can actually sort of use retinols to try and stabilize that oil level. If you've got impaired skin, so let's say you are, you know, you've been out in the sun a lot, that you don't sleep very well, you can't help, sometimes you're on medication. There are things, as I was saying to you, that you can actually do to bypass that. And that is to make sure that you can supplement if you want as well. If you see a nutritionist, you know, supplementing with a good multivitamin, you can actually help. Sunlight is, you know, protected, you know, is having sunlight, the vitamin D really, really helps a healthy skin as well. You know, so many, you know, the issue we've got at the moment is actually the blue light coming from this computer, because that's very aging for the skin.
Is it really?
Makes you wrinkle.
Now I'm worried. So do I have to put on a cream in order to sit in front of the computer?
Well, you can put on some makeup. Okay. You can actually put on a very good makeup, which is a mineral makeup. And that will actually protect your skin. But also Well, I don't know, blue light, you can actually get the glasses, but that's not going to protect your skin. It's unfortunate but wearing a physical sunscreen is compared to a chemical sunscreen, even when you're sitting in front of the computer. Do you know the difference between the physical and chemical sunscreen?
No.
Just very, very quickly, it's very important to tell you that the physical sunscreens are now becoming very, very important. They've got titanium oxide and zinc oxide in them, and they're not going to contain any chemicals. The actual chemical sunscreens, they are your normal ones that you would buy from the chemist. Unfortunately, they don't actually know whether these actually cause the skin cancer. I don't want to frighten anybody, but it's just better to use a physical sunscreen.
Right. Such as, what would be a physical sunscreen?
There's many that are out at the moment. There's many different makes that you can.
What are we looking for? So if we're looking at the ingredients,
Zinc oxide and titanium dioxide.
Okay.
So zinc and titanium.
there's just a question that's come in. An 11-year-old girl is using Cetaphil for her spots. Is there anything else that they could be using instead? You hear me? Can you see the questions?
No, where's the hang on?
No.
On the comments.
If you look at the comments on the side.
Read the question again.
So.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So the last one. So 11-year-old.
Oh, my 11-year-old girl's getting quite a few spots. She's using Cetaphil. Is there anything else she could be using? Well, an 11-year-old is starting puberty, yes. So you want something, she's got beautiful skin, and you don't want anything that's actually going to upset, as we were talking about, the pH balance. You want to keep her skin looking really lovely. I would personally go in on a very easy, start easy. And there are products that you can actually use. And also, but you have to judge each case differently. So if she's just starting, she can use something like a toner or something that washing her face, making sure that if her skin she's done sports at school, making sure she washes her face and keeps her skin clean. She doesn't touch her face the whole time as well. If she's got long hair, pull her hair back away from her forehead. There's many different, as I was talking about, products. It's quite difficult because I know what I use in my clinic. But I think the main thing is look at what she's actually eating and keeping her skin clean. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that one, Fiona. We are in November, which is also called Movember, okay, because many men grow moustache or beards for charity, and many, in fact, throughout the last couple of years have grown beards throughout the whole of Great Britain and the world because they want to be rabbis, okay? So my question to you is, bearing in mind that we now have more facial hair than men, how do we look after our skin that's hidden beneath the facial hair?
Right. Okay. So again, you think about when you've got facial hair and you've got bacteria that's actually within the follicle. So sometimes you can get issues like folliculitis, which is where the hair follicle comes through and it gets, affected. So it is important to try and manage the beard. So I just think that, again, it's very much based on, your skin type, but it's just keeping your skin clean, washing it with not, if you get a soap, don't use the soaps, but I would actually try, and if I would get like a beard, almost like a wash, like a very gentle wash, so you keep it clean. The other thing is, we were talking about diet. It's making sure that you think about beta carotene and you think about, products that contain vitamin A, because that's actually going to keep your skin nice and healthy. And
while you were, there was another question that came in, and that would be our last question. Can you see it, Fiona? Can you see the question?
Oh yes, okay. Can shampoos and conditioners affect the skin? 100%. Definitely. And I always say that when you wash your hair, if you can actually wash your hair, so you put, so you've got the water and the shampoo goes away from your face, because definitely, as we were talking about, it's Joanna, isn't it? As we were talking about that, this shampoos and chemicals, again, this is a large subject I've just written an article on, can contain endocrine disruptors. And this is a very large subject. So they can actually, these chemicals and shampoos can affect the pH balance, but also can, internally affect our organs and how they work. Big subject.
That's fantastic. Fiona, you have answered all our questions. I guess the only last thing I have to ask you is it true that cholent at the Kiddush is the most healthy food to have for your skin?
Of course.
There you go. I knew we'd be friends at the end of this.
You knew the answer all along.
Fiona, I want to thank you so much for being such a sport and giving so generously of your time tonight and your great wise counsel and advice to our community and beyond. I'm sure many have benefited from hearing your insights. I think one of the things that we agree upon, and we've had many a conversation about this, and that is that it's not all or nothing. The same way as it is with Judaism, this is where our paths cross. If you can't do everything, that you should do for your skin, like me, so at least you should, the more you do, the better it will be. Are we in agreement with that?
Totally.
I want to thank you so much, Fiona, for joining us. Next week, we are looking forward to Lorna Rhodes, who will be joining us. She's a nutritional therapist, and she'll be speaking about food and immunity. We very much look forward to that part of the series. And we thank Fiona not just for speaking tonight, but for all her input and advice in creating this great 4-part series on well-being, which is so important in the current climate, in the COVID crisis. We thank you so much. Gila, you want to thank and end off?
Guys, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you, please, till next week. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.